Hello, everyone. Welcome into the hospitality room presented by Mascot Media. We thank you for making us a part of your day. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright with you, and the state of Arkansas is a buzz. Still on this Tuesday, Mr. Swofford, how are you? What a weekend.
I'm good. It was quite the weekend. Arkansas took advantage of a stage that I didn't think they were going to have. They actually, took the nation by storm. If it wasn't for a school named Vanderbilt, they'd be the talk of the town across the country.
In a way, I think that could be a good thing, but we'll get into that. Well, let's do it. Let's get right into it now. Here's our talking points. Arkansas rallies. I mean, this game dominate the first half, lead
Yeah,
3-0. You're thinking there's no way in hell this is going to hold up. They take the lead. You think it's over. The quarterback gets hurt, and they rally and win the game.
yeah. It's wild. I mean, it's almost and how they won the game, Blair, is really what's befuddling to me. So you've got one of the top
Yeah.
scoring offenses in the country. You have one of the most efficient offenses in the country that's held scoreless for the first time under Josh Heupel in a half. And then, but that third quarter, you really felt like, okay, Tennessee's established the running game. They're gonna just run them over. But Tennessee got in Tennessee's way. They wanted to
Mm-hmm.
throw the football, and sometimes you get offensive coordinators or teams who kind of get stuck in their ways, like, oh, we have to throw the football. Arkansas routinely rolled out five-man boxes, three down linemen, two linebackers. Sometimes they'd have a safety walked up for a six-man in the box, but most times they did not. And Tennessee didn't take advantage of it. They've got one of the best running backs in the SEC in Dylan Sampson. I don't understand why they didn't just turn it and hand it to it. Because on their two touchdown drives, they did. They just ran the ball right down Arkansas' throat. Arkansas stuck to their game plan. Tennessee said, we're a throwing team. We got to throw the football. And then Arkansas able to come back and make the big plays in the end. It's
And,
really, really surprising. And yes, Arkansas won the game, but I don't think Tennessee did themselves any favors with their play calling.
no, it was like the AFC Championship game all over again. Run the ball. Run the ball. Nah,
What are you going to do?
we're good. We're gonna throw.
Yeah,
Nico, he looked like a freshman,
he did.
which he is. And I I made a quick Walmart run at halftime and turned on XM, and there was the Tennessee network. And I thought, oh, this may see what they say. Fortunate. If I had a nickel for every time they said fortunate in the 10 minutes I was in the car,
Yeah,
I could retire. It was
yeah,
crazy, but they admitted Arkansas's defense was killing them, and they need
yeah.
to run the ball. I mean, did they call you? And because I mean, it was like whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, holy cow! And then when Green goes down. I mean, he missed the touchdown pass, whatever. He is what he is, and he'll drive you
Yeah.
nuts, but he does well. When he got hurt, honestly, anybody that says they thought they'd still win the game is crazy. At that point, you thought there's no way in hell.
Game's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
How did they
especially
do it?
yeah, Singleton comes in the first drive. You kind of have to throw out the window. They're backed up against their own goal line. I mean, you're not going to ask a quarterback who hasn't played all year to come in there and do anything. I understand he played against Pine Bluff. But that doesn't mean anything. But that
Yeah.
when they got good field position, Arkansas did what they should always do, no matter who's at quarterback, and that's rely on the running game. And this time it was Braylon Russell. Most of the years it's been Jaquindon Jackson. And I mean that the huge hole in that first carry that Russell had over the right side, they picked up 25 or 30. You and I could have run through that hole side by side, and we're large people.
Yeah.
I'm larger than you, but literally we
Wow.
could stay side by side there and run through that hole, and that set the tone. The Arkansas offense got faith and confidence in their front five and says, you know what, you're going to win this game for us. And they did. They churned it. And the screen pass to Satania right through the middle, one of the easiest and most efficient passes you're going to find for a quarterback coming in making his first pass of the game. That was a brilliant play call. You get the ball to a playmaker, Satania picks up 12 or 15, and now you're moving. I thought the play calling as a whole for Arkansas this year has been really bad. I thought the play calling on that drive was really really good.
You
So
know, in
kudos to Petrino for that.
in a way, and the snaps were shaky. I mean, it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh. But in a way, and Petrino is obviously very good at what he does. He had to simplify things, and
Yes.
sometimes when you simplify, it's better.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm watching that and I'm like, man, this Russell kid. I mean, I'm having flashbacks of Barry Foster. I mean, holy cow, where's he been? Give
You know,
him the rock.
he was a stud 2 years ago as a junior in Benton, unstoppable. I thought he got too heavy last year as a
Hmm.
senior, and I know he was dealing with some foot issues really throughout the summer and all season long as a senior. I still think he's a little too heavy. I think they listed him at 250 or 255. If you
Yeah.
can get him down to about 240, like he
Ooh.
can be every down back because he's got a little burst. Obviously, he's got a lot of strength in the lower body. I think he can be a guy. But back to the play calling. Yes, I've kind of been critical of Petrino, but if you go, I rewatched the condensed version yesterday of the Arkansas game, and I went back to those key moments: the
Hmm.
third down that failed, the fourth down that Green tried to pick up on his legs. If Taylon Green gets the ball out on time when he's supposed to, they're easy first downs. The fourth down is literally a you get the snap out to the receiver in the flat. It runs a little zig route 2 yards, he's wide open, not a defender within 5 yards of it. The
Hmm.
third down, the exact same thing. If he catches the snap and looks immediately, and he's looking, the receiver just doesn't throw it, and all of a sudden, I think that's when he dumped it off to the tight end that was on the flat that cut the ball with his knee on the ground at the sticks. I think that might have been even fourth down. Had a guy
Hmm.
wide open right at the snap. So like those are the things that make you pull your hair out if you're Robbie Trino and an Arkansas fan, is because when you do put your quarterback in the right situation, we're going to move the chains to keep your defense off the field. Your quarterback doesn't execute. Yeah, but you read the box score and he's still got great numbers. But they could be even better if their quarterback would just get the ball out on time.
It's almost like there were a few times I'm like, if you just tell him, okay, do this, don't even
Mm-hmm.
try to read anything. It's like when he has to process, he can't do it quick enough, and it doesn't
Agreed.
happen. But if it's just okay, you turn here, boom, fire, it works.
Mm-hmm. Don't even think about it. I
Yeah.
mean, the one it's really obvious to see, and I think it was the fourth down where Green tried to run the football.
Hmm.
If you're watching it, pull it up on YouTube, and you hit play on the snap, as soon as he catches the ball, pause it, and you can see the receiver on the bottom of the screen completely wide open. And you pass it, easy first down. Who knows what happens from that point? But
Yeah.
he doesn't make those plays instinctively. And that's what you have to have as a good quarterback in a Petrino type system because it's all about the ball coming out on time. Because if you don't do that, you're asking your line to block for an extra tick or two. You're asking your receivers to be open when they may not be. And maybe they're open initially. Now they got to run through coverage. I know it sounds like I'm being really, really negative. And granted, they only scored 17 points in this game.
Yeah.
So so they didn't light the world on fire, but they can be even better. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if they do those little things against A&M, they do those little things against Oklahoma State, they win. If they do those little things against Tennessee, they win by multiple scores. They don't have to worry about that nonsense at the end.
Yeah, that's the thing about a Petrino offense. And I remember when he was the head coach watching practice, the receivers are running routes to absolute precision and timing.
Correct.
Because
Yes.
because if the timing is off, it doesn't work. And that's why it's so important he's got the quarterback get the ball out at the exact time
Mhm.
because I mean it's unbelievable the detail to it because it's all in sync and if it gets out of sync it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we mentioned but the defense.
Mhm.
Williams is now the question is can they keep him because everybody's going to come for him.
Yep.
Um, wow, I mean that was phenomenal. And then you look, he's left you at UCF. He left Gus, came here, and now
Hmm.
Gus is faltering, and we'll get into that in a minute. But Williams, man, I mean the guy's a superstar.
Yeah, I don't know what he's getting paid at Arkansas, but it's going to get doubled next year. Somebody's going
Hmm.
to come calling, whether it's his alma mater in Auburn, whether it's a big time job, somebody else gets hired, or maybe a mid level head coaching job comes open and they want to take a run at him. Yeah, Arkansas better enjoy him while they can, otherwise they better open up the checkbook.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those guys. They're gonna be willing to open up the checkbook if they keep.
You need to, yeah.
Yeah, and you should. I mean, why not? Because guys like that, you see how he relates to the players and the players relate to him. That's only going to help not only on the field, but in recruiting and everything else. So, yeah, it's unreal. And then there was an article in The Athletic. He went to Sam Sunday night and said, hey, what
Mhm.
about running this? Hey, that's awesome. Everyone, everyone's ready to give Pittman a bonus and a new contract and everything, and that's fine. But then
Hmm.
again, that's what these guys are paid. That's the job, is to win games like this, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. I was watching. I think it was the SEC, and I can't remember his name. Chris used to play at Florida
Oh,
during.
Dorian, he drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
So there was like a 10-minute segment they were talking about this game, and he was mentioning that exact article that you said, about how Oklahoma had a lot of success in two sets they ran against Tennessee, and those are the sets that he brought up: is the 3-2-6 and the 3-3-5.
Hmm.
Arkansas ran most of the game against Tennessee, and this has caused Tennessee to completely lock up. And so, but I mean, that's what college football is. It's like you see something that's working and you steal it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good coaching.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's called good scouting, and that's what good coaches are supposed to do, 100%. And now, to me, now the question is, okay, you're Arkansas, you're 4-2, you're right in the thick of things. What's the number you can get to? Big picture. Because you
Yeah,
think you got two gimmies. You think you got the Bulls wrapped up with Mississippi State and La Tech. You think you do. I think
yeah,
LSU's gettable. We'll talk about that next week. I think LSU's
yeah.
gettable. And now you're sitting at 7, and then where do you go from there?
You
Missouri
know,
scuffling.
oh yeah. But the timing of this, it's I don't know. Is it great or is it perfect? Because in a way, it's almost like a walk off win because
Hmm.
they're off, so everyone's basking in this,
Yep.
which is great because it was just so unexpected, and I think that was part of the whole joy. But is the joy still going to be there in 2 weeks when you play LSU? Because that could get out of hand early. And this program, I'm sorry, but has had a hard time handling success. So in a way, I think Vanderbilt might have done them a favor by hogging the spotlight because every time Arkansas gets into that big spotlight, everybody's talking about them, they come out and lay an egg.
That's 100% valid. I mean, I think that the off week one to heal your quarterback is big, and to
Huge,
kind of and
huge.
to stop reading your own press clippings. I think that's big. I do agree with that. But LSU's got Ole Miss this week, so it's not like LSU's got a couple weeks to prepare for the Hogs like Arkansas does for them. I think it's falling into a you can't schedule the buys. I understand that
Mm-hmm.
they're just kind of given to you. Came at a perfect time for the Hogs.
Yeah, but then again, you probably want to get back on the field and ride this momentum too.
Yeah, a
So,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah. So, it is what it is. But it's almost like the rest of the season, just forgo it. I mean, it's not going to end on a better note than this.
Hmm.
It's just been unbelievable. All right. You might have heard Vanderbilt knocked off number one Alabama.
Oh
I
my
mean, I, I know we were texting. I'm watching it. I'm just like, I'm texting my wife. I'm texting my son who's at the working the game. I mean, it's just, unless you're a sports fan, I don't know, like we are and others, this it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, these things don't happen to Vanderbilt, but
No.
Alabama would score, and Vanderbilt immediately had a response every time.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt got forced turnovers. Vanderbilt made plays in the passing game. It was unreal watching that game unfold because every time I go, okay, here comes Alabama. Oh, here comes Alabama. They would go down and score, and Vanderbilt would punch right back. And those are the things that programs like Vanderbilt don't do.
No.
When you get punched, you fold the tent.
Yeah.
And and Grant, they've had a couple decent wins. You can go back to Virginia Tech to start the year. This is not a terrible team. I mean,
No.
they're actually showing a little grit. I mean, I understand that they've lost some games this year. They're what 3-2, and they lost to Mizzou and the Georgia State. But
Yeah.
they had a chance to beat Missouri. They were right there with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're not the cupcake. The mistakes taken over is that. I mean, is this not great for college football though? I mean,
Oh
because we,
yeah.
we have we have kind of grown accustomed to, okay, Georgia, Alabama is only going to be beaten by Georgia or Alabama, and that's it. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of nice to finally see that the have-nots is actually able to compete with the haves.
It was the way they were doing it. I mean, you're
Yeah,
just like this Vanderbilt. I
yeah.
mean, they are fun to watch. I have not
Hmm.
seen them up to Saturday, but I mean, Man, they're running precision. I mean, they are smoking, rolling, and just you're just like, this is nuts. But wow,
Time of possession 42 minutes in that game for Vanderbilt.
which is normally the most overrated statistic. But I forget who said it on Full Ride. But in that game,
Hmm.
it was important because it kept Milrow and company off the
Yep.
field, and Vanderbilt not only had the time of possession, but they were cashing in
Hmm.
drives.
I agree. I think it's an overrated statistic too. But until you see that Vanderbilt had, or excuse me, Alabama had the ball for less than 18 minutes and still scored 35 points. So if they're on,
Which,
if they had the ball more, they were going to continue to score. And so
yeah,
Vanderbilt played the type of game that they needed to, and they forced the two turnovers, one the deflected pass that gets run back for a touchdown, and then the strip sack that didn't lock it up, but essentially did late in the game. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, that's a game Nick Saban would never lose, but college football is different now.
yeah. I don't know. I still have a hard time thinking you can't say a Nick Saban team for sure would not lose. I mean, Vanderbilt played a phenomenal. I think that's undercutting Vanderbilt in the sense. I mean, they played. It was Georgetown, um, or no, it was Villanova against Georgetown in '84. I mean, they played
Mhm.
like almost the perfect ball game. So it didn't matter who it was. But elsewhere in the SEC, I mean, there was a lot of craziness. Georgia looks vulnerable. Didn't look great against Auburn. Then Kirby comes out and blasts the fans because the atmosphere wasn't up to par. That's that's not a good
Yeah,
sign, is it?
yeah. Last thing about Vanderbilt, and the reason why I think that never happens to Nick Saban,
Yeah.
Vanderbilt scored more points in the first half on Saturday than did in 4 games against Nick Saban.
Ooh. Well. Okay.
So that's why I say that. But
Yeah.
yes, Kirby blasting his own fans ain't never good luck when you're ripping your own guys, especially fans who have shown up in the postseason and college football playoffs and bowl games for 5 or 6 years in a row now. It's not time to turn on your fans just because you lost a game last week.
It reminds me of the time Saban was kind of critical of his fans. You start winning so much and so often, and you don't win by 25,
Hmm.
people just, it becomes ho hum. And so he's almost a victim of his own success. And then we had the news out of Athens this morning. Man, they've got a lot of issues in Georgia. Winning is masking right now.
Hmm. No, I mean you're right. I mean they're still one of the best teams in the country, but I mean there's been some warts on that for a while. I mean
Hmm.
they've had all the off the field issues, and obviously today adds to that. But I mean when you recruit elite athletes, sometimes they think they're more important than the law, and that's the problem they're running into. Alabama used to have that problem too until Nick Saban really kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
Those programs have those things. That's why we see NFL players all the time get in trouble with the law because they think that they're on this pedestal when they're not. They're just another human being that happens to make a lot of money, but you're not above the law. And Georgia certainly has an off the field issue, top to bottom in that football program.
Yes. And like you said, Nick Saban had it, but he cleaned it up. Kirby,
Hmm.
I don't know what's going on there, but thankfully that's their the mess. The people to the north of us, the Tigers from Mizzou, did they was there a memo that got missed or what on earth happened? I mean, were
Yeah, I,
those
I texted
body
you early.
doubles?
Yeah, I texted you early in that game. So Missouri looks awful, and it just got worse from that point. I mean, Texas A&M. Every time you change the channel and come back to it, Texas A&M had scored again, and it
Yeah.
wasn't that Missouri was just missing chances. They were going three and out on a consistent basis. Luther Burden wasn't getting open, and obviously the quarterback situation was a disaster. Brady Cook did not look anywhere near what he normally does, and has A&M figured it out with Connor Wegman? I mean, good lord, 18 of 22 passing in that game. Where's that quarterback play been all season?
Yeah, who is this kid? I mean, he came out of nowhere. It was insane.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Maybe A&M is for real. I don't. Who knows in the SEC? And then you had Ole Miss, South Carolina. That was really not a factor. But then Ole Miss, falls down because we're hurt. Oh, and Shane Beamer
Mhm.
calls him out. But I mean, he's kind of on his last legs, right? Beamer.
I think he is. I mean, they beat what Kentucky earlier this year, and so they got their token win. But like, they're not stockpiling them anymore. And the SEC East, I understand you've got Georgia right there, and Tennessee obviously be on the rise. But you're supposed to be one of the better teams in the division, or they don't have divisions anymore. But on that eastern side, and
Sadly,
this, but I mean, it's South Carolina. I mean, like, should we really expect them to be a whole lot better than 8-4 every year? And that's probably a good year.
they probably say the same thing about
They
Arkansas.
should. They should say the same thing about Arkansas. Absolutely.
So, and then we predicted a coach would get canned last
Mm-hmm.
week, but the coach we
I was wrong.
predicted to get canned rolled.
Yeah.
So does Napier's tenure still have a pulse in Gainesville?
I think that he survives the season now, and that's a team that has completely turned it around the last few weeks. Talking about Florida, I mean, they look so different right now than they did a month ago. It's unreal. I mean, I understand they beat Mississippi State and UCF, not exactly world beaters, but where they were coming off that Texas A&M loss, you thought, okay, Florida's about to make a change and make it in a hurry, and they dominated UCF in that first half. I mean, they came out, landed a haymaker, and Gus and KJ had no clue what was going on. I mean, it only ended up being a 10 or 11 point game, but it was never
No.
close.
No. It was a 9 point game, 24-13 final, but yeah, it was never close. And now now you're kind of wondering, okay, Gus lost his defensive coordinator. He brought in
Mm-hmm.
KJ. KJ's gone from Arkansas. They're rolling. KJ goes to UCF. They're not rolling.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the most surprising thing is, and we knew he wasn't a great passer, 12 of 22 for a buck 50 the other night. He's not running the football. I
No.
mean, negative 18 yards in that game against Florida. I mean, so either Gus is not using him properly, and I didn't watch every down of this game. I just kind of flipped back and forth. But like, the run game is so much part of his game. It's almost like you're taking one of his biggest weapons away from him by not having a better implemented run attack with your quarterback.
Yeah. And I believe we said on this show we didn't think that he'd go down there and just light up the world like
Yeah,
everybody else
there's not enough
seemed to
weapons around
think.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So to the NFL, we've had the coach who did get sacked, Mr. Sala.
Hmm.
Boy, I did not see this coming, did you? Or at
No,
least not this
mainly because
quick.
mainly because he's not the person who threw three interceptions in London. I mean, yeah, you can blame the defensive minded head coach all you want, but he's not the 41-year-old quarterback out there making mistakes. He's not the play caller saying, "Hey, Brees Hall, you get 5 carries this week." I mean, are you kidding me with the rushing attack? I mean, this is. I was talking to our good friend Josh Bertuccini up in Northwest
Hmm.
Arkansas about this. Diehard Jets fan. So you're going to tell me that you've got a 40-plus-year-old quarterback against a pretty good Vikings defense. You've been all over Flores for a while now, and
Hmm.
you say, "Hey, we're going to have you drop back 54 times, and we're going to have 14 design runs." Tell me how that makes sense.
Nathan Hackett is a genius.
It's
No, he's
it's
not.
unreal. 9 carries for
Yeah.
23 yards for Brees Hall.
Yeah.
5 carries, 13 yards for Braylon Allen. He says, "You know what? We're just going to chunk it."
And Salah's basically the defensive coordinator, even though he doesn't have the title, right? And they
Correct.
shut the Vikings down in the second half. I mean,
Yeah.
his unit is one of the best in the league. The offense is the problem. So let's fire the
Mm-hmm.
head coach.
Yeah. I mean, so in that game, Minnesota has 17 first downs, which is below average for an NFL team, and has 253 yards, which was less than the Jets had. You hold a team to 253 yards and you fire the defensive minded head coach. Tell me how that makes sense.
You're 2-3, and if you win next Monday, you're in first
You're in
place.
first place. You're in first place. Exactly right. It's a really, really bad division. Unfortunately, I watched 60 minutes of the worst teams in that division on Sunday. But like with Buffalo losing, you're only a game back in the division at the quarter
Yeah.
pole. I mean, it makes no sense. But then again, that's why the Jets are the Jets. You're
Yes.
starting to see why bad franchises always make bad decisions that keeps them being bad franchises.
Yes. So it'd be what, the sixth coach in 11 years. Woody
Correct.
Johnson, former ambassador to England, back there with all his cronies, didn't get the win. I mean, yeah, the Jets are gonna jet, and
Mm-hmm.
they've jetted. So
Yep.
do they? I mean, I thought about this. Okay, Belichick's getting back in.
Hmm.
Do you go get him now before anybody
I don't
else
think.
opens up? If
I
he will
think.
take it.
I think that's the one place that he wouldn't go. Honestly,
Okay.
I mean, because obviously he was the head coach there for a day or so. I think
Mm-hmm.
he burned that bridge. I don't think that just there's so many years of so much hatred. Obviously, the Rex Ryan rivalry there. I don't think he'd go to the Jets.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a mess. They're a mess
Who
as
the
long as Aaron Rodgers is there.
who the Jets need to call is Josh McDaniel. Bring him in, let him call the plays. He obviously had so much success with Tom Brady late in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Call him, get a new fresh set of eyes on your offense. If you're the Jets and you want somebody on the outside coming in, that's who I would call.
I was kind of surprised they didn't name Hackett the interim head coach,
Hmm.
which
I mean, let's call it like it is. Aaron Rodgers is the head coach of that team.
oh yeah, totally. So that's why I was like, oh, he'll just make Hackett. Might as well just make Hackett the head coach.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Aaron doesn't want his guy to be the interim. I mean, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's just so bizarre. But
Well,
then
also like
again,
Hackett was so bad in Denver, you can't really give him that title.
but they're the Jets. Nothing they do is going to make sense. All right, our picks. I made a little
Whoa,
ground on you. Made a little ground, not much. I'm still trailing, but I did make a little ground. You had a rough week,
that's
but
bad. That's
it
real bad.
happens. It happens. It's no big deal. Here's the crazy thing: is I hit on Arkansas and Vanderbilt, and
Yeah.
Florida State so close to, and they didn't do it. Did you stay up and watch the Cal Miami game Saturday night?
No, I did not.
I tried
Apparently, I
to,
missed a really good one.
I man, I'm watching it. Cal's up by 18. I
At
wake
least,
up.
yeah, they were
I
big.
wake up. I've lost it. I wake up and Miami had won, and I was just so.
Yeah.
I mean, what a
Cam Ward's going to
weekend!
win. Yeah, Cam Ward's going to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he might. He might. Well, Miami is,
Their schedule's cake, by the way. But
and they're
Cam
the
Ward is going to
luckiest
put up such.
team.
Yeah, Cam Ward's going to put up such crazy numbers that he's going to win the Heisman, and they're going to go undefeated.
Really? Do they
Yeah.
play Clemson?
No, they have Louisville, Florida State,
Ooh.
Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse left.
So they could play Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Yes.
Ooh. Who
Right
does
now,
the ACC fix the game for in that one?
yeah. Cam Ward, 2,200 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, 161 yards rushing, three more scores already. So he's got 23 touchdowns in 6 games.
So you think
That's
he
almost
wins it
four a
over
game.
Travis Hunter?
Yes, oh yeah. Because I think Colorado's going to be a 7-5 team. So you got an undefeated quarterback going to
True.
the college football playoff versus, granted, a two-way player on a team that's 7-5 and not even going to make their conference championship game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, let's be honest. The Heisman does not always go to the best player. It goes to the best player on a team everybody
Yeah.
adores
Now,
and is
no, the way
winning.
that can change. Obviously, they were off this past weekend, so we didn't talk about them. I mean, their schedule's not exactly murderer's row either. So kind of time. I got 20 seconds left. Kansas
Yeah.
State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State. If they get to 10-2, then he's in the conversation.
Well,
They're
biggest
4-1
games
right
this
now.
week.
Yeah, Kansas State, no doubt.
Wow. Wow. We didn't even get to the NFL picks, but we'll pick
Yeah.
them on Thursday. Final word, Mr. Swafford.
Never bet on the Patriots.